The California Gold Rush
by Fabian Nunez
Philip Decker
and Will Jolly.
Before 1849, modern-day California was heavily populated by 150,000 Native Americans, alongside 6,000 people of Spanish and Mexican descent. The land was controlled by the Mexican government, who feared American immigration into California. Land was rarely given to immigrants, but there were a few exceptions, like John Sutter, a young Swiss man who was given 50,000 acres in the unsettled Sacramento Valley. In 1848, Sutter hired a carpenter, his name is Marshall, to build a sawmill on the American River. One day, on his commute, he had caught a glimpse of gold in the river. Rumor about this gold spread fast around the U.S., and many were eager to look for gold themselves. In 1849, thousands of people left their families, homes, and businesses in hopes of finding gold. Most of these miners set up camps along riverbanks and wore Levi's blue jeans and cowboy hats. Many of these miners worked long hours in cold, knee-deep water, panning for gold with little to no reward. Although Americans were the majority of the miners, they were not the only people in hopes of striking rich in gold. Roughly over 1/3 of all miners came from other countries, but primarily China. Chinese miners took over mines and riverbeds that the Americans had abandoned. The Americans were not patient or hardworking, but the Chinese miners were. In turn, the Chinese found more gold and made more money than most of the Americans, which greatly upset them. By 1850, the population had grown from 400 Americans to over 150,000 Americans, made up of miners and their families. With the sudden influx of the population, the Americans were able to ignore Spanish rule. In 1850, the Americans applied for the statehood of California. San Francisco became a huge port for manufacturing and baking. Sacramento became the center of the successful farming region in the Sacramento Valley. The gold rush was the main force responsible for the Americans' expansions west. Without it, America would not be the same as it is today.
Yeah!